Hi everyone, my name's Electric Donkey, and today we are back doing another Donkey's feedback type video. So, if you remember in the last one we did a basketball one, and I think it was called like Mega Sports or something ridiculous. And now today we found another basketball game. This time just picked off the forms just randomly, but it just so happened that the top of the list was a work in progress kids basketball game. Bit of a theme going on here maybe, but yeah, we have this now again. So it's slightly different, and I'll go through the differences in a minute. So first let's just read what it says here, because it is slightly different how we're going to judge it. So hey all, interesting way to start. So I've only been working with Game Maker Studio for about a month and a half, but with 5 games on progress, might want to try and narrow that down a little bit. This is one of the furthest I'm making for the kids. Not quite sure what you're trying to get at there. For the kids to play at home. I was wondering if anyone could give me feedback so far and ideas on how 2 kids might be able to enjoy this instead of one watching. So the idea is to try and think of ideas for 2 player. First, we're going to judge it like a completely normal game, because, you know, that's how it's going to be. So this is what it looks like, and you're probably going to see it, and it's not amazing, you know, it's not the world's best graphics in the world. But let's just go over some basic things that I think stand out to me as being issues, basically. First off, this hoop pair. For me, that just seems like an eyesore. The whole graphic style itself, you know, it's not great, but it works. That doesn't work at all. It's because it's too fuzzy, too high a resolution. You've tried to then condense it down to a low resolution. Try and make it blocky. You know, even if you can't make basketball hoops, just make a little like bit there. Just try and make it as blocky and as simple as all this other art style you've got going on the outside. That would be my sort of idea for you. Also, we have a box as the player. Now, personally, I really don't like boxes as players. It's something that especially in Game Maker, just gets used a lot. I'm guilty of it myself, but on a finished game, try and just at least make at least a realistic box. You know, one that's kind of human sized. You know, that's nowhere near a human size. But anyway, back to the actual game itself. Now, to play this game, you press E, which spawns a ball in here, and then you run into the ball, and it kind of does it for you. So you can see most part of it is done for you. Now, one issue that I think is quite prominent with this is it always goes in the same direction at the same trajectory. Like, watch that. That's just in the same way all the time. You can see there is some sort of physics going on around here, so it will bounce in if it's kind of there. It will bounce into the hoop. But on the player itself, there's no physics whatsoever. I can just, you know, that seemed a little bit more powerful, but I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. Now, if I try and get on the other side of it and hit it that way, it doesn't work. Another thing, just little glitches, to be honest. I'll try and replicate this, but if the ball goes over this side, instead of bouncing off this wall, it simply disappears, which is slightly weird. Also, try and replicate this one. This is a bit harder. If it hits the bottom of the hoop, it disappears, and you know, you don't score or anything. It just disappears again, which is slightly peculiar. So let's try if we just drop a ball here. Can you see there? It just completely disappeared. Slightly little glitch there or something. Right, but now it's time to judge it as a kids game. So, as a kids game, the controls are really quite simple. That's one good thing about it. The aiming, you know, there is no aiming, so depending on how old the kids are, that's something that's probably quite tricky for them to do, and to have it just do it for you would make it probably slightly more enjoyable for the children. The art style, if you're a kid, doesn't really matter. To be honest, the art doesn't really matter. You just want to play the game. Right, so that's it just as a kid's perspective. Obviously, it is working a lot better as a kid's game than a like adults kind of game, if that's even a thing. Now, I'd personally say to make it 2-player, that would be tricky. That would be rather tricky because you've got to also think about how that would work on a 2D scale. Now, if you remember last week's video, obviously if you haven't watched it, go check it out, give you some ideas perhaps. On that one, you could, it kind of came out to about here, the pitch, so you could run around up here. Now that would obviously work a lot better in 2 players because you can then have 2 players moving around each other, whereas in this you're going to be walking into each other a lot of the time unless you jump over them. So how could it possibly work in 2 players? Well, potentially you could do it so that, and this is something that links in something else I was busy thinking of, was perhaps you could implement some dribbling. That would be pretty good. Now, what I was thinking is, and this is kind of a halfway rule you have in basketball, if you're playing half court, you have to go to this wall once you get possession and then score. That might be slightly tricky for the kids to grasp perhaps, or if you were just going for a completely more simplistic one, you could have collisions off for the 2 players, just have one a different colour, and then have them run around like this and have 2 separate scores. That would potentially also work. Now, one other thing I'd say is this kind of game, to me, it shouts Android game, especially for children. They probably don't want to be sat in front of a full-on computer playing this. They'd probably prefer to play on dad's, mum's phone, whatever. That would probably be a better idea for them, but obviously if you don't have the Android module, that's not really a necessary thing. It's just something that for me makes sense to do. And also, just to finish it off, for the idea of the kids, one thing you could do is, instead of having to press E each time to spawn a ball in, it automatically spawns in after you've after it's despawned, sort of thing. So then another one would come in, because it's just, for a child, it's just another kind of control to try and get the hang of, which would probably cause more issues than it's worth. Now I'm just going to quickly try and demonstrate the thing here. So there is slightly different trajectories it can take, but overall it's all in that same direction. Now, that could be intentional, it could not be. But anyway, that was kind of my review of the kids basketball game. To sum it up, a few little glitches, a few little things you could probably improve on, and just think it through and go through those sort of things. Just think it through for yourself. Would a kid be able to grasp this? And if you have kids at home that are able to play it, just give them a test on it, see what they think of it, because ultimately it's for them, I guess. It's for those, for the kids to play at home. So it's for them, not for me. So, anyway, that was my review of this. If you like the video, remember to like, subscribe, or just do what you guys want to do, and I will talk to you in the next one.